Hello everybody, in this video I have some mixed media art journaling to share with you with the Thompson's Craft Supplies design team. Now usually when I do art journaling with my Thompson's kit, I do it towards the end of the month when I've got more like bits and scraps of my kit to use. But I don't know, I just kind of had this idea in my head and I wanted to get it done. It of course turned out completely different from the idea that was in my head, but that happens every time. So yeah, there we go. It was due to this paper here from the AB Studio The Versailles collection. I think it's called Visiting Versailles, and I'm just going to turn it over. There's the right side. It's just like at the front of a part of Versailles, and it was like distressed a little bit, and I just wanted to use that for art journaling. I was just going to stick with one side at first, and then I thought, let's just do a double page spread. Why not? So as you saw, I just trimmed it down so it would fit that art journal I'm using there, which is approximately 10 by 10. It's slightly smaller because it's like the full size is 10 by 10, including the coils, so as I said, yeah, it's slightly smaller. I'm using Distress Oxide in Chipped Sapphire, I think, just to add a little bit of blue into places, and also that awkward gap between the coils on each page where, you know, I could have, if I wanted, like cut the paper to a point where it like sticks out at one point to cover up that little gap, but I'm far too lazy for that sort of thing, so I didn't do that. But yeah, I'm going with the whole colour scheme of the Versailles paper pad, which is lots of like rich royal blues and greens and stuff. So once I had put those two bits of the paper down, I'm just adding some, this is Affinivare liquid acrylic in a colour I haven't written down, but it will be in the description box. And my goodness, is that a strong, really strong royal blue colour. I was like, whoa, it was the first time I'd used it, so it was just like, wow. And it's really, I don't know, really opaque, really dense, really, well, really runny actually, but it is a liquid acrylic. It's kind of somewhere between an acrylic ink and an acrylic paint. It kind of just surprised me with how strong a colour it was, which is why I'm now putting just like a couple of dry brushing on a little bit of layer of gesso on, just to tone it down a little bit. I was going through some papers, as you saw, and I fussy cut myself a few bits and pieces to use, also using the Minte Flora book 2 fussy cutting book. Cut out some leaves and some blue florals from there, and then what I'm doing is I'm using Distress Crackle paste, and I'm just brushing a really light layer of it like around some of the edges and stuff. And I didn't add a thick layer because partially because it was going to take an age to dry, but it just adds a really subtle crackle when you sort of dry brush it on, kind of going with the theme of that paper where, you know, there's sort of a distressed, aged feel to it. And then I'm using this stencil. This is a step that actually just arrived that morning. That's new Tim Holtz stencil. I thought it'd be really, really perfect to work with this project, and I'm using Prima paper paste and then also some Nouveau embellishment mousse in navy. So the paper paste goes over where there's like the blue background, and the navy embellishment mousse is going over the paper, and you can see in that middle part there I kind of merged the two. Then I wanted to do some background stamping. I'm using at first archival ink in the colour Cobalt. I never quite know how to say that properly. The sort of using a distressed damask stamp, which is from 49 and Market, I think. It's quite a stubborn little stamp. Sometimes it just doesn't stamp very well, and sometimes it really holds onto the ink and doesn't stamp it out. I don't know, it's hard to explain, but when I was using it with the stamping block, it just wasn't behaving itself, so I took it off the stamping block so I could really press it in. And I still didn't get very clear stamping with that, but I quite like the sort of distressed faded edge damask stamping around the top and the bottom. What is that noise outside? I think that's a motorbike. And then also adding some like scripty writing stamping with, I think I used Stays On Ink in Dove Grey using a Kaisercraft texture stamp. And then I pulled out this lady from my big hoard supply of rice paper. I thought she was kind of appropriate to the Versailles era in her clothing. And then also these really, really pretty florals I thought I would add as well, mostly because they matched her, but also because I thought they were like a really nice contrast against that rich royal blue. Next up, I'm going to start adding and arranging my little fussy cut pieces. I've got the doors or doorways, windows, whatever, are cut from the Versailles paper pack, and as I said, the floral parts are from the Minte Flora Book 2, and those little ladies in black and white, those are from Versailles as well. And I just thought I would add just little more Versailles related elements to it because of what I'm gonna end up putting on as my sort of title a little bit later on, you'll see. But going around the edges of all of those again with that chipped sapphire just to bring out that blue, and just making little random clusters of windows, ladies and flowers, really. So the idea I had in my head, it's hard to explain the idea I had in my head. I just wanted to make it obvious that it was kind of like that French royal 18th century, you know, the era just pre-French Revolution of that opulence and dresses and stuff. You may have seen it, the film Marie Antoinette, the one that has Kirsten Dunst in it. I wouldn't say it's one of my favourite films, but it's like one of my, if I just want to switch off and put something on that I don't have to think about or really have to get into, yeah, just one of those switch off films. That's one of mine, that Marie Antoinette film. Let me know in the comments what your sort of switch off film is. Yeah, like I said, I don't think it's a favourite. I like to chill out to it. So what I'm doing here make you go, "Wow, what are you doing?" But what I'm doing is sort of doing, there is a word for this technique, but it has escaped me at the moment, which is basically adding the acrylic paint, and while it's still wet, putting a stencil over it and then using a baby wipe to lift off some of that colour as well. And then also I'm kind of doing the negative version of that where there's still paint on the stencil and on the baby wipe, and I'm just kind of putting that onto the pages as well. I don't know, it's hard to explain my thought process there, but because that bit I'd put on the right hand page was such a strong colour, I had to balance that out with a little bit of it on the left page, and then just adding these little hints of the stenciling and the blue and stuff. So I set that aside to dry while I'm going to do my sort of title. So this is from that Marie Antoinette film. I'm using a fountain pen with white ink in it to do like the main part of the writing, and then I'm going to fill it in with a gel pen, so it's a really strong white. If I'm doing lettering, I find it easier to do it, at least start doing it with a fountain pen. But yeah, there's a bit in it where Marie Antoinette, when she's first there, she says something like, "This is ridiculous," at all the pomp and circumstance and ceremony and stuff, and her aide, I don't know who the woman is, I can't remember, but she just goes, "This, madame, is Versailles." And I don't know what it is, it just kind of just always sort of stayed in my head, that quote. I don't know, maybe it's just the way the actress delivers it, I don't know, but I just wanted to put it on this art journal spread. Like, I'm trying to use all those kind of like royal colours and emblems and loads of things going on, like the ladies in their beautiful dresses and all that stuff about what Versailles was pre-French Revolution and stuff like that, and that's kind of what I'm going for here. So I went over the writing a few times, as I said, with that white gel pen to have it really stand out on that black paper. I did want to put it on a really dark navy paper to go with the whole colour scheme of the piece more, but even in my craft room full of all sorts of things, I have no like navy, dark navy, just cardstock or paper. Just, I hadn't got many things that are solid block colours, it turns out, but I do have black, and I thought I'll make that work. So I've cut them down a little bit, distressed the edges, and then I'm going to take that chipped sapphire again and go around the edges of that. I don't know how well it shows up on camera, but because it's the oxide and of the way the oxides work and stuff, you can see them a little bit on a black background. So it does help with that blue edging to just sort of bring those words in, make them fit in more colour-wise at least with the whole piece. But I thought I wanted one piece over that blue area, the dark blue area, but it was looking too plain, so I am taking that sort of scripty stamp again and using some white ink, which is a Versa Magic Dewdrop, just to add lots of more like scripty writing again. But I like the white on the blue a lot. I'm a really big fan of that, and it just added a little bit more to the whole thing. So yeah, I'm just going to put those down with the 3D gloss gel, and then I think the last thing I'm going to do is just splatters. I can't think if there's any other thing I do, being really indecisive about that last bit there. I'm using a pot of gesso to push those down, just because I thought if I use my fingers I might smudge the white gel pen, and I did not want to do that. Oh yeah, I'm just adding a little bit more of the crackle paste with my brush. I'd covered up a lot of the crackle that I'd added and just wanted to tone down a couple of the really brighter areas with that crackle paste, and again add that whole distressed old crackly feel to it. And then once that is on, I think that's going to be time for splatters. I'm fairly sure it is. There I'm just sort of blending in those words a little bit more again with the background by putting a bit of the crackle paste around those. And then yeah, I'm going to cover those up because I don't want splatters going over the writing. And I'm going to use Heidi Swap Colour Shine in navy for obvious reasons, that strong blue colour. And then I'm going to, of course, use my beloved Winsor & Newton white drawing ink for my white splatters. And I think once I have done that, then the pages are complete. So yes, there we go. Thank you so much for watching. Bit of a different one, this piece, these pages, but I had a lot of fun making it. I love the blue so much, and just like the slightly old feel, but at the same time like the really rich opulent colours and dresses and all that kind of thing. But anyways, yes, there we go. As always, links will be in the description box for everything I've used, both from Thompson's Craft Supplies and other places, plus a link to the blog post if you want to see the pictures in more detail or anything like that. Please leave me a thumbs up if you enjoyed. Chat to me down in the comments. I am going. Thank you again. Bye bye.